This is a movie I don't hear a lot of people talking about on YouTube or anywhere else on social media. Then again, I might have missed it when the movie came out. I was planning on reviewing this movie like last week, when Space Jam was out and everything. Apparently, maybe the movie didn't get much attention because, a lot of big movies came out that day. Black Widow was still fairly new. Space Jam then came out the same week as Gunpowder Milkshake did. And then after that, Snake Eyes is now making a big appearance right now. I mean, there might have been some people who reviewed the movie. There might have been some few people here and there, but not a lot of the main players of movie reviews have surfaced on it that I follow on YouTube that reviewed this movie. And maybe for good reason. Maybe they were like, there's nothing to talk about it. There's nothing to say about it. It's just an action movie with Karen Gillan and some other badass women as well. So let's talk about it then, shall we? Salutations everyone, I'm Niru and welcome to another movie review. I had the worst thing about my brain telling me this movie's dumb. This movie's stupid. Mainly because I was watching this with everyone, with my family, when we were downstairs. My dad came in saying this movie's pure garbage, and it kind of ruined the mindset when going into this movie. Because if I wanted to go into this movie, I wanted to go into it with some positivity, saying don't take it too seriously, don't think of anything. And I think the positive outlook I had for it, and I feel like I'm gonna get chastised for saying this, but I thought of it as a better version of The Night Comes For Us. And The Night Comes For Us was just a recent revenge or help a little girl kind of subplot movie where someone says I had to help this little girl because I refused to kill her due to her being in this village, and I didn't want to go far to killing these poor villagers just because money issues and all that. And that whole movie was about a bunch of people who try to protect this little girl, and they all get killed in the process because they were protecting her. And she runs away alone to a different city or town or country or whatever on a boat. Well, everyone who protected her in this movie is killed. And that movie kind of left me in a terrible taste in my mouth, because the way it ended, it was oh yeah, he sacrificed his life for her. And I feel like it was pointless because how is a little girl gonna survive on her own? Is she gonna be smart enough to know where to go, when to hide out so no one kills her? I mean, it feels like they failed. The girl might be found either way. They know she's on that boat, so clearly they're gonna kill her the moment she gets off that boat. So I think the movie would have been pointless either way. I heard there would be a sequel to that movie, but I'm kind of not holding my breath on that. Gunpowder Milkshake has that same thing where someone has to protect a kid because they refuse to kill them because they have a conscience. But it's different in a way where it's Karen Gillian's character, Samantha, relates to the little girl after finding out oh, I killed her, well, almost killed her father, but then again she did kill him because she failed to save him when taking him to a hospital. And she tries to redeem it because she kind of relates to this little girl after her mother left, and her father was also killed too by some gang members and such that are protected by this place called the Firm. with contract killers and mobsters, gangsters, and everything, etc. Kind of like a John Wick universe in a way, where this big like organization of assassins, and everyone knows anybody who's an assassin and knows who's carrying a gun. And they have rules also, just like John Wick, not to carry like guns or kill anyone or do business in on the grounds, basically. So that's kind of like a rule, like an unbroken rule in a universe like this. But then again, it does question me at the cool ending diner fight scene in this movie, where it was like there's no guns, you can't bring guns in the diner, yet the girls in the movie who had a plan went to the diner, killed a bunch of guys with guns, while the guys only had knives, hammers, machetes, etc. To arm themselves with to kill them, while the girls are giving them an unfair fight by firing shotguns and dual wielding pistols at them. And it kind of feels like they broke the rule. Like, they couldn't bring guns to the diner, no one could bring any weapons in the diner. So the weird thing is like, what the hell? Why is this rule broken? Like, is it because like they are close friends and they couldn't, and they're like, fine, we'll let you carry the guns to kill these guys because we care about you? Maybe that's it. But I think the diner fight scene kind of contradicts a lot of things that they said that they couldn't do, and they just break it. But hell, maybe it's because like anything goes, we're not part of this firm anymore, so why not just say fuck it? Let's bend the rules, I guess. yes, yes. So Gunpowder Milkshake, as I said before, it's about Karen Gillian, who is this character named Samantha, who is a contract assassin, and after her mother left her 15 years ago, due to some business that she took care of that led her to being on the run for so long. And she has been raised by by Paul Giamatti, who is one of the workers of the firm. And she becomes like her mother, becomes a contract assassin, makes the kills and everything, etc., and tries to clean up a lot of mistakes she's done, since she's done a lot of mistakes doing contracted hits for the firm. And once she makes another mistake by killing a mob boss's son, she is now she is out of the protection of the firm, and she has to protect this little girl, the father she accidentally killed, and tries to protect her and herself from everyone who's going after killing her. This movie I actually had enjoyment with it. But I really wish I didn't have that mindset where someone programmed my brain to say this movie's bad, this is awful. It's actually pretty fun, entertaining, honestly. And honestly, I would say this. It's like I usually have this like mindset of like what is considered a bad movie or what's considered garbage to me in a movie. And it's usually if I don't find enjoyment in it. And I'm not saying like it needs a little few nuggets of enjoyment for me to like it. No, if the movie only has small things I like, but the majority of it is bad, then I don't like it. It's fine. The movie's just fine. I feel like it kind of suffers from being kind of John Wickian, basically like a big organization, like a big world that they're building in this film about this character. Like it's like a huge world, like John Wick build in its first movie. Hey, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't do it terribly what they did. They don't just huff the fumes of it saying like this big corporation, this huge place that is so important, that is so mesmerizing. At least it doesn't do that. I mean, yes, the narration about talking about this place kind of kills it in a way. I mean, John Wick didn't need to do that. All you need to know is there's a big world of assassins out there from the Continental that is part of this world, and that's all you need to know. But all you need to know is John Wick wants revenge on a guy who killed his fucking dog, and that's it. Yeah, this movie kind of delves into a lot of its world building early on in the film. Like, it gets right to the point to it. It doesn't do much explaining. I mean, the open narration could have been cut out of the film, since Karen Gillan does repeat the same line she said at the end of the movie, so she didn't need to say in the beginning. She can just say at the end of the movie about what the firm is, and that's it. All you just need to know is there are these powerful company who has hired assassins, and that's it. And then you'll have your little narration of what the firm is through dialogue at the end of the movie. I don't think they needed to do that at the beginning of the film. I do say I do love the style of this movie. Like the neon lights, the pleasing aesthetic neon lights, the 50s like style diner also, that was pretty cool to see. I love all the set designs in this movie. The library, the diner, the hospital, a lot of the world with all this neon bright lights, the bowling alley, it's beautiful, including the abandoned mall. That was really cool to see. This abandoned mall and her going inside this rental video store was pretty cool to see. Like, I do love the set designs and everything. Like, the style of it is beautiful. And that's kind of the problem with the film. It's very stylistic more than substance, in a way. I mean, it's like the basic cliche stories you get. Like, assassin, lost mother, and and a job goes bad. You have to protect someone because you have a conscience and you don't want to kill them. It's kind of that cliche of like, I have abandoned my job because I have a conscience. I do not want to kill someone that seems innocent to me, and I want to help them even though I might die at the end. It's that cliche story that you've seen a lot of times in films, but sometimes I can give it leeway if it has interesting characters and a nice stylistic looking film, if it can do that. And this film does do that. It does that in the same way as John Wick. It's the cliche story of a guy getting revenge, but the world that they are living in is very interesting, and they actually do a lot to make it look good. Even Keanu Reeves' performance was pretty damn great in that film as well. Well, I just thought it was pretty cool in the same way as John Wick, but that's the problem. It kind of felt John Wickian, which it didn't really need to. So, it could have been its own thing that doesn't feel John Wick a bit. I mean, Atomic Blonde was already the female John Wick film that we got, and this movie is trying a bit too hard with the whole, hey, there's badass women in this movie, let's go and have a feminist kind of message kind of thing, including having the bad guy seem like an asshole saying he considers himself a feminist, even though he said things that weren't like a feminist would say. Like, he just makes it so egotistical, thinking he's like, yeah, I'm totally a good person because I have 4 daughters, even though he starts to contradict it by saying that he felt like a stranger in his house until he finally had a son. So, that's stupid. But it's not very, like, ham-fisted like other movies that have done it. Like, ugh. I forgot the movie that hammered in feminism. Captain Marvel, that's right. Captain Marvel ham-fisted it so much completely with that stupid cockpit line. And even more to that, saying like, yes, I'm a woman and I'm cool. And then Brie Larson is bland as hell in that movie. Seriously, how could she be more interesting in Scott Pilgrim but can't be interesting in a Captain Marvel movie? Like, really? I would give credit this. The action is pretty cool, and I'm trying to wonder if, to my eyes, if Karen Gillan actually did her stunts in this movie, or did she actually have a stunt woman do the work for her. And it has shown in her Instagram that she has been training in this movie, and she's actually been learning stunt choreography and all that when preparing to do this film. And if she actually did do the fights and all the stunt work in this film, that's props to her. She did a great job with that. I kind of want to criticize that her acting kind of feels stiff in this film. Like, she has this dead-eye stare that you always see her have in, like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy when she's Nebula. Like, she has this, like, serious look, like, I'm gonna fucking kill you look, which is really good in this movie, honestly, when she gets shot or when she gets stabbed by someone and she gives them this dead-eye stare before she kills them. I actually found it pretty funny, but also pretty cool, honestly. And I do love Karen Gillan. I liked her since Doctor Who when she was Amy Pond. And I've been following her career quite a lot, honestly, without knowing I have. Because it's shocking how much stuff I've seen her in without knowing she was in it. And I mean, her acting is sometimes good. I think her acting shines during the end of the film when it gets more emotional and heartfelt with her between the kid. And I did love that scene where she was teaching the girl how to drive and such when they had to do an epic chase scene in the parking lot. I thought that was pretty cool and interesting. And there is like this weird scene that I found kind of hilarious but also kind of stupid. But then again, I do find it hilarious still because it's stupid, where she's in when she's in the hospital. The doctor numbed her arms so she cannot be able to use them anymore. So she had to get creative by having her weapons taped into her hands. And she has the little girl tape the gun on her hands and tape a scalpel on her other hand as well. And you see her like flailing her gun around to pull the trigger to kill the bad guys that were also in pain, because one's in a wheelchair, the other's in crutches, the other is wearing a cast because she beat the shit out of them in the bowling alley, so they're also numb as well, but they're also high on laughing gas. So they're laughing while they're in pain. Which is so dumb but so fun at the same time, how creative they went with the action scene. And I actually like that. It was a very creative action scene of like, what if we show a fight scene between people who are just fucking beat up all to hell, but they can't move, they're not physically capable, so they had to get creative of how they're gonna fight each other. And it was pretty cool, honestly. It was stupid, but honestly, you kind of want to take your suspension of disbelief out of this film and say, like, you know what? I actually enjoyed that. That was pretty fun to see. Hey, I really did wish that the stunt choreography could have been, well, filmed better. I mean, it was quick cut action, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't Taken 3 bad, where it takes 27 different shots for Liam Neeson to climb a fucking fence bad. But I just wish the fight scenes could have been held a bit longer in the library scene. And you get to see all these cool women fight in this movie. You got Michelle Yeoh, you got Angela Bassett, you got Carla Gugino, Lena Headey, and Karen Gillan. Like, those are like the most awesome ass kicking women in movies. Like, you got yourself a fucking um ensemble of cool women that have been in other action movies before, and they are pretty awesome women and to begin with. So seeing them fighting in this movie, seeing them kick ass in this film is pretty cool. And I really wish they held on to the shots of them fighting. We get to see Lena Headey and Karen Gillan, they, as mother and daughter, fight in the library. We get to see them fight for a very long time. But Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, and Cara Gugino, one of them is fighting with two hammers and beating the shit out of these guys with the hammers, and it looked cool. One of them has a chain, and she uses her like martial arts skills and everything, fights with the chain, chokes them out, snaps their neck, hang them from the banister of the upstairs with the chain. And the other is like fighting with a fucking tomahawk and also firing at guys with a Gatling gun, which was pretty cool. But the shots don't hold on for too long. Like, they only get like a few seconds and then it cuts to the other person. And then they get a few seconds and it cuts to the other person. And it has a few seconds and then it cuts the to Samantha and her mother in the library firing their guns, stabbing guys with knives and beating the shit out of them with police batons in the library, and they get a solid like 15 or 10 seconds more than the other women in this movie when their fight scene is going on. And I kind of felt cheated on that because I expected to see them fight more. I expected them to see more from them from the fight scenes in this. And you could argue the fact maybe it's because that they didn't have it didn't probably look impressive to the director, but to me I really wanted to see them because it looked cool. It looked cool seeing them fight, kicking ass. I saw Angela Bassett like rip this dude's jaw with the freaking edge of the hammer and then just threw him over the fucking like across the room, and it was awesome. You could hear his like teeth snap and shit, and it was fucking awesome. Michelle Yeoh snapping dudes' necks with a chain, which is cool. Carla Gugino fighting with a tomahawk with to a guy who has brass knuckles, and yet somehow she got defeated by him with brass knuckles. I guess Jason Statham was right in Expendables 2. You can never beat a classic. And he had brass knuckles as well in that movie. Jason Statham was not wrong. Yeah. But either way, it is fun to see everyone fight. It is fun to see this action take place in a cool setting. I mean, it was a cool setting how it was set up in the beginning of the movie. The whole library is basically a front showing that in the books there are weapons, money, gold, passports, anything that, you know, a contract hitman needs on a job or something. And this library is here to provide it. And you can see that they had to give the weapons code names, like what the book they're in, like a Jane Austen or a, or, you know, an Agatha Christie or something. But then again, that one was for reading. I did love that it was a nice setting, and you see like Karen Gillian's character trying to find weapons in the library, wondering which one has like a gun, and she only comes across like money, passports, and a pocket knife, and not once she was finding a gun, and she's been only finding it in small books until then she knocks over a big ass book that only carried this little handgun inside the this huge ass book. And it was like, what? So the huge books carried the little guns, and I was like, what the heck? Which was kind of ridiculous, but still funny how, like, yeah, the big book carried the little gun while the smaller books were carrying bigger items. Like a small ass book carried was crammed in with rolls of $100 bills. Like, Jesus, how in the heck is that considered to fit in there? It was just jammed in there. I'm surprised they freaking were able to close that book. Maybe that's how I can describe this movie. It's a movie about, man, wouldn't it be cool if they fight here movie? Like, I think that's what the movie is. It's about these cool ideas about, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if they fought at a bowling alley? Wouldn't it be cool if they fought in a library that was a front? Wouldn't it be cool if they fought in a diner? Like, it was all about, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if they fought in these kind of locations? And I think that's just the movie. Like, it's all the visuals in the style of this movie that gets your eyes like fixated on it. Like, this is a movie that you could see in a theater, like a drive-in theater, and you're like watching a different movie on your screen, and you're looking between your windows and you see that movie in the background wondering what's that cool movie, because you're starting to get fixated on it because of all the nice pretty neon lights and colors of the film, that dark atmosphere it brings. Also, like, it does show that that movie had potential to look cool, and it does. It doesn't like um skip out on that, but I feel it kind of weakens for its cliche premise. And don't get me wrong, the characters are fine. I do enjoy the characters, but they kind of do uh start to be dragged down by its, you know, cliche plot line. And I think that kind of affects it a lot in this movie, is its cliche plot line about what this movie is about, protecting a little girl because someone got bad intel from a bad job gone wrong, and that's it. That's what the movie is. But, you know, again, as I said, you can take a cliche plot to a movie, but make something interesting about it. And this movie both fails and succeeds at that, where you do get some interesting characters about who they are and what they do, and you kind of get like a little bit of backstory from them through facial expressions and reactions to them as well. Like, you didn't need to know much about their backstory. You could tell through their emotions and how they're talking or how they're moving. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it fails. And that's not the actor's fault. Usually a director has the fault of not giving them good direction of how they're supposed to act in the movie. And I feel like it kind of is the directing that kind of falters with the acting a little bit, because sometimes the acting's not that great in the film, but still fun nonetheless about how silly people deliver their lines or how they talk in the film. So there's some enjoyment to that. And I just love how Carla Gugino is so bubbly and happy and so nice to everyone that it just makes me smile. But then again, I love Carla Gugino. She's a great actor. I might have looped around in circles about this movie, but I did have enjoyment and good time with this film. I mean, did I have a better time? What movie I watched last week? Last week I watched Space Jam 2 and The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And if what movie I'm gonna say I liked better than this, I liked Gunpowder Milkshake more than Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, because Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard really did slum down on its comedy with just saying motherfucker a lot. And to be fair, there is so far much you can go with just Samuel Jackson says fuck a lot. Because that's not gonna hold an entire movie together from just Samuel Jackson saying fuck a lot. But it does help when it's Morgan Freeman, though. Sorry. Anyway, Gunpowder Milkshake. Did I enjoy it? Do I recommend it? Well, if you're looking for a movie to play in the background while you work, or just like background noise and something to glance at for a little bit, or you just want to kill some time and just watch a movie, relax a bit, eat junk food or drink, this is a good movie to do that. And I might want to watch this movie again just so I can get an enjoyment, because again, the negative mindset I had because someone triggered it, I didn't like that it made me think the way I did with how stupid some things in the movie were. But it didn't hinder a lot to my enjoyment, because I'm like, you know what? I liked it better than another movie I saw, so that's a plus for me. I don't know. I mean, we're going to be expecting more John Wickian kind of like movies in the future for Netflix, since Mary Elizabeth Winstead's going to have a movie called Kate coming out soon in the fall. So I wonder if that's going to be better than this film, or it's going to be, the same. But I hope I said a lot to convince you if I said this movie was good or not. I enjoyed it. Also, the weirdest thing I thought about this movie is Karen Gillan's character was watching Bee and Puppy Cat on her TV in this movie, and I was like so like confused about it. I was like, really? Bee and Puppy Cat? I was not expecting that. I was expecting something else she would be watching, but then again, this movie is like, I guess couldn't get the rights to copyrighted films or anything else, so I guess they got what they could take. Since that video store scene in the movie, they showed a lot of discount knockoff looking movies in the background, so they don't get sued, I guess, because they can't show any other movie that's copywritten in the background of this movie, because again, this is probably a small budget film that they can't afford those rights to old movies. And I do enjoy this film. Anyway, I give Gunpowder Milkshake a 6.4 out of 10. I mean, It could have been better. It could have been good, but still, I had a good time either way. Though, if I'm gonna point out one complaint I have with this movie, it's the ending, most definitely. Everything felt too easy at the end of the movie. Like, everything seemed too happy, like Hallmark card like happy, you know? I just feel like it was too easy at the end of the movie. I think that's my only complaint. Everything felt too easy at the end for the characters. So I felt that's what I feel. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching. I'll see you Wolfpack in the next video. Ciao, darlings.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!